this is Josh, and welcome back to Nintendo Nostalgia. I am here today with Chris, and also today we have a special guest with us. It is Tony Baker from Quest for Pixels. How are you doing today, Tony?
I am doing great, guys. Thank you for having me on. I want to say thank you to Jacob for inviting me here and then not showing up to the podcast. That's great. But you know what? I'm going to make some new Nintendo NOS crew friends today. And
exactly.
Then Jacob will be all old news.
Right, yes. We're firing today anyway, so yeah, you came at the perfect time. I think you'll fit in just fine. But thanks for joining
Ryan's
us.
already fired then, if that's the case.
Right, yes. We're going to start completely fresh.
All right, before we really get started, I want to go ahead and read off an email from one of our listeners. This is from Ben. It says, "Hello, I am a 10-year-old listener from Tucson, Arizona, and I started listening a few months ago. I was wondering, what was your favorite N64 game? Mine is GoldenEye." Well, as for myself here real quick, if you don't mind me going first, it jumps back and forth a little bit, just depends on what mood I'm in. For years, I would say Ocarina of Time, and that still may sort of be the case, but Banjo-Kazooie is pretty darn high up there as well. It's sort of a race. Just depends on the day of the week. Chris, what would you say?
For me, it doesn't really flip-flop. It's always constantly Banjo-Kazooie, if I'm being honest. Although, there's a lot of good runner-ups and hidden gems that I really enjoy. I would be lying if I didn't say Banjo-Kazooie. Ocarina of Time is amazing. I just didn't play it on the N64. In my view, that's like a 3DS game because that was just the only way that I played it. So that's one of the best 3DS games to me. But there's definitely a case that you could make for that, Josh. But yeah, my answer is Banjo-Kazooie for sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Tony, what do you got?
Well, the N64 was a little bit of a dark period for me. It was the PlayStation time for me, so I call it the Dark Ages. But I enjoyed, but basically I got to go with Ben on this one and say GoldenEye, because just getting together with people all the time and playing GoldenEye, that's just the way to go. It was so much fun. And I didn't have a N64, but being able to go over to my friend's house and play that game, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, totally. That's great.
I will say, with as much N64 as I've played since it came out, GoldenEye was one that I'm a little not as experienced in. I mean, I played it, but I don't think I actually owned it. I think I rented it and played it at friends' houses. Perfect Dark was the one that I owned and actually played a lot more of myself. To me, it was kind of like GoldenEye, but improved in some ways. But I know different people kind of think differently on that. So it's kind of like the whole Mario Kart versus Diddy Kong Racing debate. We ain't even going there.
Not again.
So yeah,
but I mean, there's definitely different types of appeal for a single player experience and a multiplayer experience. So I happen to just play more single player games and was really new to that idea with the N64. So that's why my answer is what it is. But there's if you played a lot of amazing multiplayer games on the N64, I could totally see that being, justifying your answer for why that's the best N64 game. Because, I mean, all the mini games and stuff that was on the N64 and GoldenEye, GoldenEye is not like a masterpiece of a game in itself, but it's just so much fun as a party game. So I'm glad that, you had a great time with GoldenEye. Yeah,
totally. The experiences you have kind of defines it for you, right? And for me, that was multiplayer. And then, typically I'm a single player kind of player mostly until recently with this generation. That's kind of more where I've gotten back into multiplayer, but it just brings back those memories of being able to play with friends. And it's kind of something we've gotten back into now that we can all connect online, and even more so now during like the pandemic, where Skype calls and Discord calls are the only way you can connect to have fun with friends on playing games.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, it can even open you up to things you probably wouldn't think you'd play, like me getting into some Fortnite recently. So make fun of me if you will. But
and I will.
Fun with friends.
Anyhow, honestly, that's all that matters. Like, as you can have fun with like anything, as long as you're with the right people and all the tools are in place. Great, have at it, have fun. That's really all that matters.
Hey, everybody likes some kind of junk game every once in a while, you know.
As long as you're
all right. Well, Chris, you got to. I am. I got you. You got something else for us there?
Yeah, so we didn't really give our listeners the heads up, so we apologize for that. But I wanted to get some thoughts and comments on our topic tonight. So our good friend Ryan on our Facebook group, he left us a message on the post that I just left. So this is my first time reading it, so hopefully I can read it okay. So Ryan says Mario 64 is the GOAT, and he used a goat emoji, which I really like. So for those of you who don't know, GOAT means greatest of all time. So Mario 64 is the greatest of all time, or GOAT game. And no matter how many times they re-release it, I will buy it at full price every single time. LOL. Also got my first chance to play Galaxy. Wow. And I honestly find myself loving it more each and every time I play it. I wish they would do Galaxy 2 as a DLC because motion controls are not my favorite thing in the world. Yeah, I understand that. But honestly, it's if you don't like motion controls, and by the way, his comment ended. This is just me talking. Ryan, if you don't like motion controls, you might not like Galaxy 2 because they did incorporate a lot of that into it, especially when you were playing as Yoshi. It's an amazing game, but if you just don't like motion controls, I'm not sure how you would feel about that. But yeah, I am very surprised that Galaxy 2 was not a DLC for the Mario 3D All-Stars collection, but I'm sure we'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, I will say with Galaxy 2, if they would somehow eventually bring that out, I think Galaxy feels a lot better without the motion controls. The spin, that feels so much better to just hit the Y button instead of have to. I mean, not saying it was all that bad. It was still great, but I guess I've just gotten lazy with some age. The pointer is a little strange with the Pro Controller, but it works. But yeah, I'd love to see Galaxy 2. I'm guessing, I don't know if I read that correctly. You haven't played that one at all either. Actually, there's a lot of things I prefer about 2, so hopefully one day you'll get to jump into that. Chris, I think we have one. What is it?
So, Tony, what are your thoughts on Galaxy 2? Did you ever get a chance to play it? Galaxy 2 and Mario 64.
Yeah, Galaxy 2, great game. Improving on what they did on the first. No complaints there. And Mario 64 is one of those games where obviously it's like, a goat. It's a goat. It is. And so like I have a memory of that where, like I said, I didn't own an N64, but my friend, we were house sitting for a family friend over the weekend at this house, and we went over there and they had an N64 and they had, I think it was it was one of the wrestling games, WWE, one of those like really good Royal Rumble games back in the day, and Mario 64. And all we did, we stayed there the whole weekend because they were like, yeah, just stay here, whatever, order pizza, chill out, just take care of the house while we're away. And yeah, we ordered Pizza Hut pizza and just sat in front of that like big old TV, like the one with the wood frames around it, that's just like sitting right on the floor. And we just sat there and played and ate pizza all weekend, and it was amazing. That was my experience with Mario 64, and I could tell what a great game it was. And we just ran through the whole thing during the weekend. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, those are the memories, right? Like that's like that Nintendo nostalgia. It just it's so ingrained in us. And I know for me especially, like one of my earliest memories was playing Super Mario Brothers on the NES, and I was like 2, maybe 3 years old, and this is an early memory I have where my dad taught me how to play, and then he would go away, he would go to work, and I would continue to sit there and play, and then he came back and I was able to get further in the level than he was. Like, I don't know, he probably slipped and died, and I was just like, I remember just being so excited that I got farther than dad in this game, right? And like that's one of my earliest memories. And yeah, it's crazy. Like I have 2 early memories. One's that, and one's going to see the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie in the theater with my dad as well when I was like 2 years old. And those are just two things that are just stuck in my brain for forever. And it's great. Like I love those memories, and it's really shaped me into who I am as how I consume my, fandoms and media, and like Turtles. I love them. The background, I got Turtles. So excited about that new Turtles games that they announced. Like,
yes.
I was
so
freaking
good.
out. It was amazing to hear that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those memories, man, like that's what gaming's all about. It just invokes this kind of stuff in you, and it's now I'm passing it on to my kids, and that's what's even more exciting. Like my daughter, she wasn't really into games too much, but my son, he's completely latched on. Like I ended up getting the that special edition Mario Switch, and I brought it out, and he went just the biggest gasp. I thought he was going to pass out, because I have to hide things when I get Nintendo stuff. Like I can't let him see it because he'll just instantly just drawn to it, and it just brings me back to just thinking about how I was as a kid, and like those opening those presents on Christmas or birthdays, and getting those games that you've been waiting for. Like I don't know, man. That's just how. It just fills my heart with joy to see that then like the next generation's doing the same thing still with Mario all this time later.
Yep, totally. No, that's the Nintendo difference, Like all of us remember where we were when we were playing, our favorite Nintendo games. Whereas, I don't remember playing, Justice League on the Sega Genesis. I know I played it. I don't remember anything about it. I'm sure it was a good time, but there's just something so special about Nintendo games that you just know every detail about those experiences that you have, and it's so special. And kind of like you said, it just shines something inside of us that kind of like keeps us going and makes us happy throughout the day. Being an adult is kind of hard, but it's nice to have these like fond nostalgic memories and just feel, warm from them. And it kind of gives you that little boost that you need, especially during these weird times, so
Totally.
Yep. But Ryan, thank you very much for your Facebook comment. We really appreciate it, and we always love hearing from you. I'm glad that Mario 64 is one of your favorite games. And apparently all of us also seem to repurchase it every time it's re-released. I'm certainly guilty of that. Although this is the first time I've played Mario 64. I bought it a few times, but just never got around to it. But I got pretty far in it so far. Thank you again, Ryan. But we also do have a voicemail from Jacob. Jacob was supposed to be with us tonight, but unfortunately he just wasn't feeling too well. So let me play that for you guys now.
Hey guys, it's me, Jacob. Sorry I could not be on tonight. I'm really bummed that I have to miss the episode. Our longtime friend of the show, Tony, is not able to, or he's on, and I'm not able to be on, and I apologize for that. And I thank Josh and Chris as well for stepping up and being able to be on tonight. Just some of my thoughts real quick on the ending of the 35th anniversary. Honestly, it was good, but I'm kind of glad it's over because I feel like Nintendo has a lot of stuff that they have not shown us because they want to focus on Mario's 35th, and I'm just over it, and I really want to see what's next, and whether that be Zelda, Metroid, Donkey Kong, whatever. I just want to see whatever's next underneath the hood from Nintendo, and I feel like the 35th anniversary has just kind of been going on a little too long, and, rightfully so. That probably all happened because of COVID. Maybe all the stuff would have ended last year in the actual year of 2020, but because everything was delayed and pushed back, that's why it dipped into 2021. So who knows? We'll see. That's really what I'm mainly curious about. Overall, I feel like maybe it was due to COVID. I do feel like the 35th anniversary celebration was a little bit lackluster, and that might sound really stupid because I guess that a lot of people love some stuff about it, but I just feel like they could have done a little bit more than what they did. I don't know. When you can't love everything that they do, I enjoyed the collection. We all agree that maybe they could have done a little more with it. It would have been awesome to get more something along the lines of Odyssey 2 instead of Bowser's Fury in a 3D World port. Although Fury's okay. Things of that nature. I really would have loved to have seen something a little bit ambitious, maybe like a Mario Land game be remade in like Claymation, just like Link's Awakening. I would love to see a revisit to that. Take a look at some of Mario's history that we don't normally see. But that's all, guys. You have a good night, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
All right, Jacob. Thanks for calling in. Sorry you couldn't be here tonight. I do hope you get feeling better. So I don't want to say too much, I guess, yet, since we'll be getting into the topic officially here in a little bit. But I guess on the thought of other anniversaries or getting to other franchises, I personally really don't think they're going to do much of anything for anybody else, just with the sheer number of anniversaries that we're hitting, like Donkey Kong's 40th, Zelda's 35th. What is it? Metroid's 35th as well, maybe. Whatever it may be. I just feel like there's so many. There's no way they're going to hit like every one of them. If anything, well, I would even say at this point, I don't even think they're going to hit Zelda, to be honest. I feel like it would have been brought up during this last Direct. I could be wrong, but and just sort of looking at the way they handled the Mario one as well. And Mario is like the favorite child, so to speak. I just don't really think they're going to hardly even mention it. If anything, maybe a Twitter post, which they already kind of missed the boat for that on Zelda, I think. So we'll see. But yeah, it's just kind of my thoughts on it. Tony?
I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be much fanfare for kind of anything else. I think we might get some more interesting Zelda news at some point in the year, but like Mario just kicked off with such a bang for its 35th with like that Mario Direct right away, that 35th anniversary Direct, and then just all these announcements. And, like I agree with what Jacob said. It did feel a little bit long. And again, that could be due to COVID, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel like I feel like Zelda already hasn't gotten the same amount of love for the kickoff, but who knows what we might see, at the end of the year. It could be saving it for that holiday stuff, right?
Yeah. I think they did a good amount for the anniversary. It lasted for a while. The Direct was in September, and, it's ending now at the end of March. So, it's a good few months, like half a year or so. But, Mario is their biggest mascot, their biggest moneymaker. So I get it. And we all love Mario, not a big deal. But, they really went all out. For tonight, I made a list of all the different things that they did for this anniversary. And I've never seen anything so massive for any type of, especially a video game anniversary. All these different games and all these the merchandise that was released, the Mario 35, that online game, lots of really creative, kooky ways of celebrating the franchise. And I think that they could have done more, kind of like what Jacob was saying, like more that would appeal to me, but there was always something that appealed to someone, or there's, maybe some people don't like, they're not interested in the Super Mario 3D All-Star Collection, but they might be interested in Super Mario 3D World because they just never got a chance to play that. And maybe Bowser's Fury is a little interesting. Maybe some people really like pins and they wanted to go through the special hell that was trying to get those. Or any of the T-shirts and other various merchandise items that they had for sale. So there was something for everyone, and I'm glad that they did it. It is very surprising that they haven't really acknowledged some other franchises' anniversaries, but we'll see what happens. We're still in the earlier months of 2021, but it was very fun. But like Jacob said, I'm also very glad it's over.
All right. Well, I guess with all of that, I know we're already getting pretty long at the tooth here, but if we want to quickly run through, we will go ahead and dive into what we're Radical Rexing about. All right, so we will go ahead and start with our guest tonight. Tony, what you got going on?
I'm Radical Rexing a little bit about Mario Tennis Aces. Out of nowhere, I picked that game up, and when it was on sale just recently, I think it was 30% off. And I played the demo when it came out. They had their little online trial, and it seemed fine. And and then didn't really get too much people talking about it. Wasn't too exciting. Lots of connection issues here and there with the online, of course. But my friend that I podcast with, Joel, aka the Falcon, with Quest for Pixels, he had the game, and we decided to have a few matches online the other day, and it was a blast. The online was great. It was rock solid, probably because a lot of people aren't playing it anymore, right? And I even heard some people say that they revisited it recently, and that it's fixed a lot of the issues, and it controls a lot better as well. So I'm just having a blast with it, and I wouldn't expect myself to. I was just kind of craving that Mario sports game, because thinking about Mario Golf in the future and how that, as much as I'm enjoying Mario Tennis Aces, let's be real, as soon as golf comes out, I'm tossing this out the window. I don't even need it, because I'm just going to be playing Mario Golf the whole time. But I think it's good to see the evolution of kind of where Mario Tennis has come, and I think when you think about the Wii U version, that was pretty rough. The Wii U Mario Tennis game, and this one it took it to the right spot, but just not quite there. But I really am enjoying playing with it recently until Mario Golf. Then, like I said, it's gone. It's dead to me.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that. Out of curiosity, how would you say it compares to Power Tennis for GameCube? Because that's the one that I really like, but seeing the Switch one, I'm just it just looks more bland.
That's a great way to say it. It is more bland, but it's closer to that than we've had in a while. So it's that's the thing about with Nintendo. It's even a bad Nintendo game is still a pretty good game overall, right? And the mechanics work well, but it feels like it's just there, but it's not. Just fell a little flat.
That's kind of my feelings on that one, actually, because the only Mario Tennis game I didn't get since the 64 game was the Wii U, and that's saying something about how abysmal that looked with the character selection and just how bland and all of that. And I guess this really made this one look really good after seeing that. And I did get aces, and I like aces. I just don't feel like I go back to it as much as I used to other tennis game or other Mario Tennis games. And one, the story was okay, but I did it in 2 days or something, and then it was over, and I never have a reason to go back. And I know in the old ones, I used to look forward to going into the single player tournaments and, going through each cup, and then you could unlock more cups, and some of them you could get the star, or what was it, the rainbow, the moon or something cups. And that's not even here in this one. There's the mushroom, flower, and star cup, but there's no fanfare behind it, no real reason to do it ananymore. The GameCube even had little cutscenes for each character that were different. And I just feel like it's really lost something there.
Yeah. And
I hope maybe golf steps it up a little bit in that avenue. I feel like they focus so hard on the online on Aces, they kind of forgot about the rest of it. But overall, still, if you sit down with the right friend or what have you, it's it's a good time. It's well made. But it's missing that, and the character courts, if you remember those from the 64 one, the big Yoshi court, the big Donkey Kong, and all that kind of jazz. I hope
that Nintendo flair is it seems like it's lacking there a little bit.
Yeah,
right.
it's just there's a couple pieces missing, or mini game. Well, they kind of had mini games, but it just doesn't quite feel the way I thought it would at this point.
Yeah,
but anyhow,
it looks good, but it just doesn't seem, like you guys are saying, there's not really too much that grabs you, and anything that really spices it up and makes it overly interesting, So I don't know. Mario Golf looks very promising, so I guess we'll wait and see how that pans out.
I have all my expectations super high, through the roof. I'm going to be completely let down if it doesn't work out, because we haven't had a really solid Mario sports title in a while. It feels like one that stands up to those games that we have so dear in our hearts, right? So I have high expectations.
Yeah, we haven't had much of one in a long time anyway, it feels like at this point, besides tennis. No baseball, that's what I want. Or strikers or anything.
Yep. I would love strikers. So yeah, at least they haven't forgotten about the franchise, and it's coming pretty soon, so that's pretty cool.
It is good to know. Well, Chris, you got anything going
on? Not too much. I finished my internship last week, so I am so happy. I finally have time to play games. I've been waiting literally years to be able to say that. My friend and I, we bought Moving Out, if you guys know Moving Out for the Switch. We were both so excited, and we both got it, and we're like, okay, we're playing it tonight. And I had like drinks ready, and it was like a whole event for the both of us. And we turned it on, and there is no online multiplayer at all. And we were livid. So we're going to look into a new title to get into. Although we'll probably just fall back onto Overcooked, because that's what kind of got us.
To say.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Overcooked is amazing, and we'll just keep playing that anyway. But that's such a letdown. Like, what are you thinking? Making a multiplayer game with no online multiplayer at all? Like, I understand the appeal of co-op, like local co-op, like that's very fun and it's definitely ideal. But like, dude, your game came out in 2020. Like, there should be online multiplayer by now. But whatever, it still looks amazing, and the sense of humor in it is like unrivaled. Like, it's very funny, and I only played the tutorial. I was like actually laughing out loud. But anyway, besides that, I'll just be playing a lot of games, thankfully. I'm gonna focus on like older games, so I'm gonna play Klonoa for the Game Boy Advance. I really love that game. Have you guys ever played Klonoa?
No, I haven't.
I have on the PlayStation.
I saw it. That's good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Just an awesome like platform puzzler. It's like, it's not difficult to understand. It's very like simple. It's kind of like Mario in a way. Like, you just know what to do. But the puzzles in them are, you have to really think about how to advance. So I really appreciate that. It's just like a fun, colorful little platformer. So that's fun. And the other games I'll be playing is Killer Queen Black. I've been playing a ton of that. I think I said this last time, but it's my favorite Switch game. Love it. Tanuki Justice. I mentioned this before, but it's just like a really cute Ninja Gaiden.
That game is awesome. It's hard. It's hard.
Never heard of it.
I was watching the developer when they were talking about it before it launched, and it seemed to like hit all the right buttons, but it is very difficult. You really got to get that like perfect run going, but it's awesome. It's like Mega Man, Ninja Gaiden, that kind of style with an awesome Tanuki in it. So like, how could you go wrong?
Yeah, for real. Like, normally I'd be like, oh god, I hate this game, screw this. But I don't know, just the fact that I'm playing as a pretty cute raccoon ninja, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going because I like what I see. So I'll be playing Tanuki Justice, Splatoon, and I actually just got the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle game. Got like the European Switch version of that, and oh man, I like really like that. I don't know why I'm in a beat 'em up mood, but like, I feel great when I play it. So Final Fight, loving it. So that's it.
So I've got one of the Capcom arcade. I can't even remember the name of it now. One of the newer Capcom arcade bundles recently on. Yeah. I kind of got it while we were on the road, because my wife seems to like to do a lot of the driving on the way down to Florida. So there's some that's pretty enjoyable in there. Get a little tired of it after a while on my own, but it's pretty cool. I guess for myself, just been kind of jumping around on random things, sort of killing time while I'm waiting on Monster Hunter, which I'll be kind of a beginner to somewhat. I've played somewhat of the series, but I've got some confidence that I'll like this one from playing the demo and hearing some other people that'll be getting it. I went ahead and decided to kind of dive in and give it another shot here. So I'm looking forward to that this Friday. I'll be going and picking it up. Got half the day off. That'll give me time to sort of sit for a couple hours and get things rolling on my own, at least. And along with that, I've been playing some. I picked up the Tomb Raider remake. I think that came out in 2013 or something. Because I'd never really gotten into that series. It's always looked like something I'd enjoy, but I've just never really touched it. And that's been really awesome. I'm kind of surprised it took me this long to give that a shot. So really been enjoying that. Also kind of oddly been poking around at some of Star Wars Battlefront 2, the 2005 version on my Xbox, just because I remembered it was there and I had it So that's just kind of one of those things, one of those mini games I go back to every once in a while, just because.
Yeah.
So
How is it?
other than that, it's fun. I mean, I still prefer it actually to the newer EA versions, which nothing. I don't hate the newer two, I guess, but it's missing. I just like the old kind of arcadey kind of feel of the 2005 one, and like the Galactic Conquest mode where you can just pick a side and you can just stick with them throughout the whole thing. It even gives you a sort of different, almost like a what if storyline by the end of it, even though it only lasts like 45 seconds or so. So I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, I feel like with those, like that era of Star Wars games were just like so awesome because no one really cared about Star Wars too much then. So like the developers were like, let's just go crazy. You know, we love Star Wars, so let's just make something fun. And I don't know, recently they just seem to lack that like, I don't know, that passion or something. It just seems very like Disney or Marvel or not Marvel, obviously. Disney or LucasArts is just like hovering above them, and it's like, this better be good, this better be good, and it just doesn't come out as like what we would like it to be. So so those old games are awesome. Glad you've been playing that.
Josh, are you thinking of picking up that Star Wars game that's coming out for the Switch in April? I believe it is. It's a remastered one, like Rogue Hunter, I think it's called.
Oh, what is it? Is that one? Is it Republic Commando? I believe it is.
Yeah,
I played it
that's
before. I didn't have an Xbox back then, but I remember playing it on a friend's. And yeah, I'll definitely be downloading that. I think. I remember reading some of the books around that Republic Commando series as well around that time.
Yeah, because those like you guys are saying, those older Star Wars games, and something about like that arcadey kind of feel that's going on. Like I that really draws me in. I've never played it myself, but it looks very interesting. Might be a pickup for sure.
Yeah, it's cool from what I remember. I don't know if it's very long, but it's just a fun kind of side one. I got episode 1 Racer again on there as well, just because, and I've still got the cart for that. So
nice.
I was going to say, while we were on that, Jedi Fallen Order on the Xbox, and I guess it's on
cool.
the PS3 or 4. That game's I'm not playing it right now, but I was just going to mention that's actually a newer one that is really cool. That one's actually really good, really great single player game. It has EA's name on it, but it was actually like a team under them that I guess technically did it, and I cannot think of the team's name. But
is it Respawn?
I think it is. If you ever get a chance, check that out. That one's actually really good. I
would if I could.
Yeah, no transactions or anything like that. So
it's a great game. Feels very. I describe it as very video gamey in a weird way, because it's like you go through and you level up, and then you can reach higher level. That Metroidvania kind of thing, but it feels so good. It's a great game, and the guy who plays the lead, great actor too. He was in Gotham. He played like the Joker that wasn't the Joker.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And he's just a great actor. Solid.
Yeah. And,
cool. Story's pretty cool.
Deborah Wilson's in it, and she was on Mad TV, which is really random.
Oh, really?
Kind of takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I guess along with that, I was going to mention kind of in the non-gaming related thing, I did go to one of my favorite places in the past 2 weeks. That's why I was missing on an episode or two. But I was at Walt Disney World, so yeah, so I guess go me on that one. I love going there. I was able to go back and take my family again. We hadn't been since 2018, but it's kind of pricey, and I'm in West Virginia, so it's a long trip. But one of these days, you never know. My goal is to one day make it in life where I can be there a lot more often. It's just kind of my thing. It's kind of my jam.
The happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the next time you go to Florida, you'll be able to go to Super Nintendo World or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's been the plan, sort of, is one of these trips is to go there, because that's been like a dream. Like, I've thought of ideas of a theme park for Nintendo since a kid, and here they go making it without me.
Yep.
It's supposed to open in Orlando in 2025 now, supposedly, since it just takes freaking forever.
Yeah.
So I'm really COVID is horrible and everything, but it is really making me mad because I'm a frequent traveler to Japan. We go every year.
Wow.
My wife is Japanese. Her parents are from Kyoto, and Osaka is very close to Kyoto. And we were totally planning on going to Super Nintendo World when it opened. Like, I would have been there for that time, around, like, I think it was like February. They initially were planning to open it in, or like November. And that is exactly when I usually go. So it is heartbreaking to me that now I'm going to have to wait until probably next winter before I can do that. But yeah, it hurts. It hurts. I wanted to be there.
It'll be worth the wait, I promise.
It will be.
Yeah.
Looks awesome. Well, I guess that kind of cuts into our topic, so to speak. I know we're getting on to like an hour into here. This is a lengthy episode, everybody. But yeah, so really today is all about Mario, his 35th anniversary, and how it is going to end.
The finest ingredients are right in the mix.
So yeah, I guess not too much of an introduction is needed here. Everybody knows Mario. If you're listening to a Nintendo podcast, I hope to goodness you know who Mario is. And you probably already know a lot about the history. Started back in 1980. Wow, I just kind of went blank, and we're talking about the 35th anniversary. Super Mario Brothers came out in 1985, which is what we're really celebrating, I guess, as of last year.
And if you don't know who Mario is, I don't feel like explaining it because it's a very bizarre thing, and I'm going to sound insane trying to describe Mario to you.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of have to be there. So yeah, I guess we've all sort of talked about somewhat of our own nostalgia, and maybe that's a good place to still kind of jump off of, since everybody already knows the history of the franchise, so to speak. Since it sounds like we've all sort of known Mario like as far back as we can remember, if I'm correct. So it's just kind of always a thing. Like Chris said, it's kind of an odd concept just to begin with, but it just is what it is, and we accept that. So I guess as for myself, I mean, I started with the Super Nintendo with Super Mario World with my dad, and that's probably still my favorite Mario game. Maybe some of that's nostalgia, but I think it still holds up really well.
It's the best.
It's a weird feeling because part of it's like, it's just your nostalgia speaking. But then like I look at it and I'm like, well, this actually still looks like perfectly fine today, and it still plays really well. It doesn't feel like super aged. Like, no, I'm not trying to hit on
older than that game plays for sure.
Well, like I'm not trying to hit on like the original Super Mario Brothers, but there's stuff about it I feel like it does feel a little aged, maybe the physics or what have you, but I don't really feel like World that has that problem so much. So I still really love that one. I love Mario 64 and all of that. That was a special time. I'd probably pick the 3D 64-ish Galaxy sort of games even over the 2D ones. I don't know. Depends on my mood. But yeah, I will have one little special shout out to Super Mario Land 2 because it doesn't get brought up enough, and I think that's a great game. Well,
I never played that one, but I hear good things.
Oh yeah, it was one of my first Game Boy games, and it's another one of those I like to just kind of go back to and break into for a little bit. It's not too difficult. It doesn't take too long to get through, but I think it's leaps and bounds better than the first Mario Land. It's almost like a portable world in a weird way, but a whole different story, a whole different world, so to speak. Well, Chris, how about you?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I keep thinking that Mario is just part of my DNA, but from what I can remember, I do know that my parents had the original Nintendo, and I remember getting or playing Super Mario Brothers 3. Like, Super Mario Brothers 3 kind of escaped my mind until, it started to come back and being like this like retro thing that everyone was very fond of. So that's how I kind of like rediscovered it. But yeah, I'm just very nostalgic for all the music, especially in Super Mario Brothers 3. I didn't get a chance to play Super Mario World or any of the games on Super Nintendo because we didn't have one. My brother unfortunately opted for the Sega Genesis, as you guys might have guessed already. But when I got my N64, I also didn't get a chance to play Super Mario 64. I kind of joined around the band like 99. So, late Banjo-Kazooie, early Banjo-Tooie, Donkey Kong 64 era. So for me, I always wanted to play a Super Mario game. And when Super Mario Sunshine came out, that was like my game. That was like my first console for myself. And so when Super Mario Sunshine came out, I was just like, this is my epic adventure Mario game, and I'm just going to devote myself to this game. And so I'm extremely, extremely nostalgic for Super Mario Sunshine. And, I totally understand all the criticisms that people have about it, but I just love the theme and the graphics and the music and all that stuff. So, I think Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario Sunshine are the two Mario games that I'm very fond of.
Sunshine needs more love. That's cool. 3's great too, but again, it sounds like Tony would agree with me, but I'm more on the world side between the two. But I still think 3 is almost nearly perfect in its own way.
I feel like it's
Tony?
almost like apples and oranges in a way. Like some people, it's okay to prefer Mario Brothers 3. It's okay to prefer World because they're two very different ones,
Yeah, I kind of feel with the whole Mario 3 versus Mario World kind of debate. I think Mario 3 did things for the franchise that set it in motion in such a way that Mario World could exist. But I think Mario World just took that and elevated it to the next level. But I think the Mario franchise and the structure of Mario owes a lot to Mario 3. But my favorite Mario game is also Super Mario World. It is my comfort food gaming. It's something that I play for the longest time. I would just bring out my Super Nintendo, hook it up to the TV, and play it that way. And it's like every month I would at least play through it once. It's a game that I would just take like a Saturday or an afternoon and then just run through it. And it's been there at like every stage of my life. Like I've played it with holding my newborn child. I've played it when I met my wife. Like, what do you want to do today? Oh, we're being lazy. I'll show you how I love Mario, and we can play Mario. And if you don't get scared away, maybe you're the person I'm supposed to marry. And but it goes back so far that as a only child, a lonely child, they call us. My parents were going through a divorce around the time that I was playing Super Mario World, and there was a lot of fighting in the house. And I remember one night it was very, very loud, people screaming, and I just closed my door and turned on my Super Nintendo, and I was playing the Forest of Illusion area. And it's the spot where if you take the wrong exit, you just kind of keep going around in a loop. And earlier that day, I couldn't beat that section. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to block out what's going on out there, focus on this and play through it. And I remember playing through it, trying to figure out the exit, doing everything I needed to. Finally got the area beat, and I was so proud of myself and like pretty happy. And then I just realized all the fighting had stopped. And I turned off the thing and went to sleep. And it's just, Mario has always been there for me in like the good times and the bad times. And it's just, it's a way that I deal with a lot of things. Is just, there's something about the feel of playing that game that it's almost undescribable. And it's so important to me.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like comfort food, like every 100%. Time you go to a Mario game, it just totally resets you and refreshes you and brings you mentally, spiritually, and in any other way where you would like to be. It's something that no other franchise can do, at least in my opinion. But you guys are such great, like, Nintendo fans, because you're fans of these games that like you were there for, like you were there for Super Mario World, and Ryan was there for Super Metroid, and what else? And Ocarina of Time, like with you, Josh. I wasn't there for those, so I feel like such a dork for like missing out on these classics. But I will say, Josh, what you said before, you think that Super Mario World holds up. I can tell you that it definitely does. Coming from someone who's just recently played it, it holds up extremely well. Like if someone told me that this is, if I lived in a vacuum and then suddenly started to play Super Mario World, and you told me that it like just came out, I would believe you, because the physics are perfect, the puzzling, the puzzles and the platforming and all that stuff, and the graphics and music. It looks it holds up really, really well. It's a great game. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, like you were saying, sort of as silly as it may sound, and I think we're all like in our 30s probably, but yeah, I mean, Mario is just one of probably the main series has just sort of always been there, from like when I was a kid and I'd play with my dad, or I was just learning how to even mess with the controller or anything. And after, my family kind of split up and things went nuts, there was other Mario stuff was still coming out, and now I'm an adult with my own kid and family and all that sort of thing. And there's still Mario stuff coming out. So it's just cool to have something like that
just interwoven into like your whole like almost existence. It's really, really bizarre, but it's so unique. And I think the reason Jacob kind of wanted me on this episode was because with Mario's 35th anniversary, I had some really strong words about the 35th anniversary Switch that came out, the Mario Switch, because I was very against it. I saw it and I thought, you know what? This is a very nice looking Switch, but this is not a Mario Switch. It is a nice red Switch with some blue accents and a couple of coin looking things on the Joy-Con straps, but it's not a Mario Switch. And there was really no like reason for it to be a Mario Switch, like there's no there's no nothing, no mustache on the dock. Like there could have just been something simple, but it felt devoid of any Mario to me at all. And I was very like, I had podcasts where I was like cussing it up like pretty bad. and then a funny thing happened. Then it came up for pre-order on Walmart, and it was my birthday. And I was like, I don't like that it's not a Mario Switch, but it is a very nice looking Switch. Now I'm justifying it to myself, right? And I'm like, I might not want it now, but what if I wanted it later and I couldn't get it? And then you start getting that like fear of missing out, and you're like, oh no, like Nintendo has totally trained me to be this way. Like I bought 2 copies of the 35th anniversary the game, because I'm like, I should keep one sealed up in case like it's a giant collector's item one day, even though
it's the world we live in now.
Yeah, and it's like, why would you do that? There's no reason to do that. But yeah, I totally like reverse my stance, because Nintendo just trains you to be like that, I think. But I still think it's I'm going on the record, it's not a Mario Switch. It is a very, very fine red looking Switch, but it's not a Mario.
What about on the back though? Doesn't it have like little details on the back, or am I thinking of something else?
It's just red. Red. I like that the casing is red. That's the first Switch that they've done that, where the casing of the screen is actually a different color. And I figured that would be like something that we've probably would have seen already, but we haven't. So yeah, I do really enjoy that. And the dock, nice red. Everything's nice about it. It's just, spray painting them on there. Like how hard that would have been.
Right.
I found it a little odd that the Joy-Con was the handles, whatever you want to call it, are blue. And I guess it's to go with the overalls, and I think someone else might have mentioned it first, but it kind of looks like a Spider-Man themed.
It does.
Switch.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And then when you compare it to
like
the
that. Animal
Crossing one that they put out, and like the Animal Crossing is just it's absolutely gorgeous. Like different colors etched in the back. Like the Joy-Cons are amazing, except for the drift, but we won't go there.
When I recently had my original launch day Switch, the fan started acting up, and long story short, I had an extra light that Amazon sent me for free. I sold it back. I had the money for a new one to replace it. I actually was at the store, and they had the Mario one and the Animal Crossing one at Target that day, like a few weeks ago. And I had my wife help me pick, because I almost went with the Mario one just because it's Mario, but she kind of didn't want that big red thing in the house, which I completely understand. And that Animal Crossing one is actually really pretty. It's themed nice. It's not too gaudy looking. There's not a bunch of stickers stuck on the side of it. It's just nice. It's kind of white, and just the colors of the Joy-Con are nice. I don't know how to explain it.
It's like soft.
Yeah, it's very soothing.
Yeah,
perfect for
very
Animal
nice.
Crossing.
Yeah.
The Monster
I love how we're a
does look
couple
pretty.
of grown men trying to describe the Animal Crossing Switch.
It's a soothing, nice off-white color.
It just makes me happy.
Puts me in my happy place.
Yeah.
Kind of a school hallway white. It's not quite white, but anyhow.
Anyway,
I'm getting
back
way
to
off.
Mario's 35th anniversary.
My bad. So yeah, along with our favorites, and again, we're all around the same age anyway, so we're not too much younger than Mario, I don't believe. But yeah, we've pretty much got to see of just how huge of a franchise it's been since the beginning, for the most part. From I don't know if we can. I was born in '89, so I can't really remember the '80s, but I know some of this came out in the '90s. You'd get like the serials and the cartoons, and the movie that we probably shouldn't talk about, and and all the toys, the Nintendo Power stuff I would get. I got a bunch of plushies upstairs and all this jazz. It's just been nonstop pretty much since the mid '80s, in some form or another. It's just everywhere, and it hasn't really. I don't feel like it's really slowed down. Like even during like the Wii U era and things like that, I just feel like everybody knows Mario. It's just one of those cultural icons, almost like Mickey Mouse. Basically,
I feel like with the GameCube era, though, Mario wasn't really, there wasn't too much like merchandise publicity for Mario around that time. So it definitely picked up, I think, like around the Wii era, like once the DS game came out and the Wii multiplayer game came out and Galaxy was a hit. I think around that time, they're just like, we should really market it more. And it's been paying off.
I'm sure it has. Now, I guess before we get into, I do want to get into sort of the anniversary itself and how it's wrapping up and our thoughts on that. But I will mention a few of I pulled up a list here of some of the best sellers of the series here. And according to this list here, I'm looking at some of the million sellers here. Let me scroll back up to the top. It's probably, I'm going to start at I know this is weird, but I'm going to start at number 7 just because we talked about this game. So, counting down, 7th one here at about 23 million units was Super Mario Brothers 3. Then I guess after that, number 6 would be Super Mario World at 26 million. I'm counting off the decimals here, but you get the picture. And then New Super Mario Brothers Wii, 30 million. New Super Mario Brothers, 30 million. Just a little bit more than the Wii one, so that's funny. I knew those would be high up there. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is number 3. At 33 million, and that's on the Switch. So that's really impressive. Wow. To already be that high. I mean, it's been out for a few years, but still, that's a really good number. Mario Kart Wii is just a little ahead of it at 37 million. I'd like to see it past that, honestly, but we'll see. I don't know if it will at this point. And of course, number 1, and I don't know how they count this. This might be including pack-ins and things like that, but is Super Mario Brothers on the NES with 48 million. So, just kind of some interesting numbers there. Now, I mean, like looking up and down, it kind of shows what I would consider some of the better games up at the top, but then it kind of doesn't. I don't know. If you get the chance, kind of look it up and just go check it out. It's kind of interesting to see how that goes. Like with Mario Kart is always a huge seller. Mario Party. This is, again, kind of getting into just how many different spin-offs of Mario there is as well. I'm a little sad to see Super Mario Party being the highest selling Mario Party because it's definitely not the best one. It's not the worst one, but it's not the best one. And definitely it's followed by DS, which DS isn't really the best one. And 8's number 3 if you're curious, which I like 8. 4 is my favorite, but I like 8. So anyhow, I guess outside of that, just thought that was kind of interesting to look at. A little surprised about some of them, but. On to the 35th anniversary here, which
the doomsday clock is ticking.
Yes, we are very close, especially by the time this episode goes out. We are definitely near the end of it all. Chris, I think you pulled up sort of a list of everything. I will say real quick, on like the Direct that came out, what was it, in September, I believe it was, of last year? They sort of announced everything up front there and announced their plans to end it, this and that and what have you. There was a lot to it, and there was a lot in that Direct, but kind of like you all had mentioned earlier, I almost feel like some of it was there almost just to say, look, we're doing like 50 different things, but then some of it's like, we put out a new pair of Pumas or something with the Mario branding on it, and like, I don't really care. I mean, like, I'm not going to wear them. I'm not going to spend whatever on it. And some of it's definitely stronger than other parts of it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And what was there could have probably been done a little better, like the collection. Right. I do love the 3D collection, to be honest, but there was a few little odd things missing. But anyway, Chris, why don't you go ahead and kind of just look over that real quick?
Yeah, just wanted to say a couple of things about the sales. I just think I do wish that some of the better Mario games sold a little bit better. I think that, the top list that you just mentioned, those are all pretty good games, but, I think Mario Galaxy 2 and 1 are more deserving than some of the other ones there. Even 3D World, even Paper Mario, like the N64 Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, all these Mario games have sold very well. I just wish that the ones that they put a lot more effort into sold a little bit better. Just saying. But anyway, yeah. So let me just read off some of the things that they did for the anniversary. Josh, I totally understand that you weren't into the Pumas thing. I wasn't either because I'm just not a shoes person. But kind of like what I said before, there was something for everyone. I wasn't a huge fan of some of these, but there were some things here that I was just like, oh yeah, I'm down with that. So some of the things that happened, this first thing I added just because it was recent. I don't think it was necessarily part of the anniversary, but last year, I believe they released like a Mario encyclopedia, which is something that I've always wanted. It's like a super comprehensive book. And you can still get it on like Amazon or any other outlets. And it's just super comprehensive about all the different characters and items and worlds and stuff in all the Mario games. So I highly recommend that. It's really cool. And also the Super Mario Odyssey art book that came out very recently. I'm not sure when exactly, but oh my God, what a treasure that book is. It is massive. It is probably the biggest book that I own, and it's just for one game. And it's just stunning. The amount of things that they have in it and all the details, and it's awesome. So I highly recommend those two books. But going on to the things that they did for the Mario 35th anniversary, they did kind of almost shadow release or shadow tease. I don't know what I'm saying. Paper Mario and the Origami King. What I'm trying to say is they announced that game like kind of shortly before it came out, and usually they don't do that. Usually it's about 6 months, but yeah, Paper Mario, the Origami King. I don't know if that's like part of the anniversary, but it happened within the year, so I'm going to count it. One of the biggest things that they released is the Super Mario All-Stars, I'm sorry, this is something else. So Super Mario All-Stars was released on the Nintendo Switch Online library, so a nice little addition to that collection. And the thing that I thought was the big release, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, that came out, I believe, in November. And even though it's just a re-release of all these, 3D games from our past, it sold insanely well. It is now one of the best-selling Switch games, period. And it's
probably
only
because
been
of
out
dummies
for
like me who buy 2 copies.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So, and then I'll just read off the rest real quick. There was a collectible coins thing featuring the Super Mario titles on them from Best Buy. Super Mario 35, the online game. Mario Kart Home Circuit. The Game & Watch, that was Super Mario Brothers themed. Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury, that was a big one. And there were like a lot of cool pre-order bonuses with that. There's all the Lego sets, including the one that kind of looked like a original Nintendo. So that was pretty cool. And those are still available. I would highly recommend getting on those. All these clothes, Cat Mario amiibo, pins. I know Josh got those pins, which I'm very jealous of.
Yeah, both of them.
Yep. Very, very, very jealous.
Oh.
Yep. And
it was a struggle. Trust me.
Oh yeah. He was updating us every moment of his journey with.
Real quick on that, I guess, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Like the first one, I got like super lucky on. I think they put them up earlier than what everybody originally thought, and I just happened to pull up Twitter as soon as like it went up, and it took like, I don't know, 30 minutes of kind of poking around, but I managed to get the code. And then this last one, yeah, he's right. It was the day of the Direct, the most recent Direct, and I don't know, it went up at like 3. It was like 2 hours before the Direct. And right. I sat there, and I was still working when it went up. I got off at 4, and I was at my mom's. We were going to have dinner and all this stuff by about 5 when the Direct was starting. It was like 5 till 5, and it finally went through. but I sat there and just kept refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. If anybody else was trying, basically you needed 15 missions out of however many missions they had completed, and I did like 16 or 17. But when you'd go to the page, it would just do some random other number below 15. Like it'll say, "Hey, you've got 1 out of 15. You've got 8 out of 15." And I sat there and refreshed for almost 2 hours until it finally started kicking in for everybody. And I finally got it, came in, everything's good. But yeah, I was sort of chatting with them in the meantime. So they got to play
Yeah.
this play.
I'm glad you got them. I mean, they are. I wish I had the patience to put up with that crap, but I will say, just from pictures alone, like those pins are nice. But fortunately for myself, I'm not a pin guy. Like, I'm not going to put a Mario Flood pin on like my shirt walking around, a city. That's just not my style. But they're
Mine are
pretty
staying
cool.
in the case. We've got a Disney pin board up on our living room, but they're not going on that either. They're not Disney anyway. They're staying in their case.
Okay, that's cool. And it is a very nice case that they came with. It's pretty fancy. Let me just read off a couple of the rest of the things that happened. So they changed the Nintendo Switch eShop design to kind of be a little bit more Mario themed. So that was a nice little addition. They apparently released some Amazon Mario themed boxes. I never got one personally. Animal Crossing items, that's happening right now. There was a Splatfest. A Mario themed Splatfest, Mario Kart Tour. That's like the smartphone game. I don't know what happened, but there was a thing for it apparently. And Super Smash Brothers events with like those stickers or spirits, whatever, things like that. Mario Maker 2. I guess they had events for that. And quick little thing I wanted to add, because a lot of people are kind of forgetting about this, but Super Mario Maker 1 for the Wii U, the servers are shutting down in just a few days. So if you like that game, I haven't played it personally, but if you like browsing and downloading or whatever you do in that game, take advantage of it now, because you're not going to be able to soon.
I forgot about that. I've got 70 levels I made on that one.
Ooh.
I got to go back to that anyway.
Yeah. So are any of those things, did you want to touch up on any of those things, guys? And are any of them particularly special to you? Were there things that you missed out on? Were there things that you did take part in and you really enjoyed?
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on Mario stuff for sure during Mario's 35th. So I'm sure that Nintendo, I guess, has achieved what they probably want to achieve in that regard. But yeah, I got the Game & Watch for Christmas. I gave my son the Mario Kart Live home circuit, and that thing, it's magical. The way it works, it's surprising how delightful it is. And it was so good that I had to buy my friend one for Christmas, and I sent it to him like right the next day. I was like, I need you and your family to experience this, because it is so much fun, and I want someone to talk about it with. Yeah. Is it something you're going to pull out all the time and play with? Probably not, but just it's like Mario's right there in your living room, and when you're playing on the screen or on the TV, it just feels so fast, and then you look down and he's just going like it's pretty slow, but it's just this sense of speed you get when you're looking through the camera, and it's just so good. But yeah, there's lots of Mario stuff that I've partook in this 35th. But what I'd really like to see, and I think they still have time to do it if they wait for the very end, is I would have loved to see how they're working on that animated movie. I would have loved to see a trailer or a teaser trailer. Like, how great would that have been to just see, like, even if it's something small, like, like maybe Mario's footsteps and then jumping at a coin and then coming whenever. But like, I think that's kind of, we need something like that to kind of close it off.
Yeah, like at first when you started to be like, what they could do before time ends, I'm like, oh, keep your expectations in check, because they're probably not going to do it. That I could see them do.
Yeah,
they could do that. That would be a clever idea.
It seems like it's time, after like how long it's been since the announcement, to kind of see at least some sort of taste. Right.
Well, I hope they release the trailer when it's ready. I don't want this, some kind of early tease or whatever. But I am very curious about the live tour thing. That was one thing in the direct where I was just like, I was looking at the direct and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to buy that. That's fine. Cool. But when that trailer happened for the Mario Kart Live thing, I was just like, wow, they still got it. Like, they really know how to reel us in with these really unique, innovative ideas that only they can do, and they just get it. They get what makes Mario Kart special, and they get how to make it a new experience, because a lot of the Mario games and experiences and products that they have, they're starting to get a little samey here and there, but that's something that I think is just so brilliant and innovative, and it's just so refreshing to know that they still really care to experiment and think outside the box. And I hope it sells well and that they do more with it. But that's, even though I don't have it because it's not really for me, it's probably one of my favorite announcements for the anniversary. I just think it's so out there and very cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that they did inside the actual game portion of it too. Like there's a lot of customization options, and of course you can create your own level like there in the house or whatever. But just some things that you'd like to see like even incorporated into like the next Mario Kart, as well as Mario Kart Tour on the mobile device. I played it a little bit when it came out, then I was like, it's not really for me. And then they did a giant update when it was. It's like its first year update, and it was awesome. Like it feels a lot less microtransaction-y than before. They give you like extra coins that you can earn within the game to like get special characters, and the challenges are they're so addictive. It's perfect for that kind of game where you're like, okay, it's almost time for bed, laying down on the couch, whatever, watching some mindless TV, and you just play a couple tracks and get a couple characters, and but like the amount of tracks and the classic tracks they have in there, incredible. They have like every track from every iteration of Mario Kart. It's insane. And it just feels like you're missing out on like so much awesome content, because it's like, it's a mobile game and it's kind of weird to control. But if they added controller support to that, it'd be game over.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would ever do that, unfortunately.
It's so tragic, because it's like, it looks pretty good. I'm sure the tracks are, creative and cool, but right when I booted it up, I was just like, ooh, here we go. And then I had to turn with touching on the direction or something like that. Now right away I'm just like, oh no, goodbye. I don't want anything to do with this. This is awful. But I'll go back and give it another try. I didn't know about that update, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would say give it another try. And they also added the you have to do it in the up and down, the portrait, but now you can do it in the horizontal mode as well.
Oh wow!
So that kind of helps a little bit for the controls, right? So then you have the controls on one side and then the other side, instead of having to slide back and forth. So it feels a little bit better that way.
Okay,
and
cool.
I would really, really suggest going back in, because again, it's a game that I was like, it looks cool and whatever, but I've just been playing it now for the last 2 months now, pretty much once a day. Just check in, play a few races, and the races are 2 laps long and they're snappy, they're quick, and it's like that's just the right amount for this type of game, I think.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
that one's one I've jumped in and out of some since it started. It's not too bad. I wish they would add like the platinum points to it, like a lot of the other Nintendo phone games for the Club Nintendo or whatever, My Nintendo. Still call. That's not in there, but it's one of those where like I'll get into it, they'll put an update out, and then I get mad at it because I don't get the character I want. And then, like with the Donkey Kong stuff, and I probably rolled like 40 times, and I never got Dixie or Funky out of all that. I did get the Super Mario Kart Mario, I believe.
Jealous.
I think it was. I don't think I got Donkey Kong Jr. I think I just got Mario, but it was still cool.
Yeah, that's the tough part about that is doing the gotcha kind of thing, and you see all these people post like how they got these awesome characters, and I'm like, I get horrible characters every time.
Yeah,
still good.
Yeah, that's why I don't put money into it. I don't trust the thing.
No, I don't pay any money. Forget that.
Now, Chris, had you brought up Super Mario 35 on that list there already?
Yes.
Okay, so that was definitely one I wanted to talk about. As for one, it's actually ending here in a few days. Right. Supposedly, it's just going to be gone, which is kind of weird because I really like finding ways to preserve these old games. Be it having the cartridges are cool, and in this day and age, honestly, I kind of like the thought of having like a digital copy of them too. So like I still have the cartridge for Super Mario World upstairs, but I'm probably going to play it on my like SNES Classic or Switch or something.
Right.
It's just kind of for that ease, I guess, to get to, and it's safe. I don't have to worry about tearing it up, that sort of thing. But yeah,
totally.
this is just gonna kind of go poof.
Yeah.
I spent a little time with it myself.
Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, same here. I made it to. I think I leveled up to like level 50 the last I played it the other day. Because I played it a ton at first, and I used to win a few. And then I kind of forgot about it because it's a really cool concept, and it's fun, but you can't really play with friends. I wish you could. And it's like they knew it was going to come to an end, so they didn't bother really doing much new with it. I got a little tired of, hey, I want to jump to this level, or I'll click to start here, and then I always just end up at 1-1 or 1-2, and then I'm like, shoo, okay, I'm through 1-2, and then it'll knock me back to 1-1 again for some reason, and it's like that stuff was kind of getting on my nerves after a while. So and I guess some people started to get really good at it, so it was like, okay, I'm starting to kind of lose interest. But even with me losing some interest in it, I don't want to see it go away. I would like to actually see them build on that a little bit.
Right.
Have you all put any time into it yourselves, or what do you think?
I played a little bit, not very much. I probably played like the least amount out of like anyone in the world. But I played it today, and I was just like, it sucks that this is going away. Let me give it another fair shot. And I don't know. It's not for me. I'm glad that it exists. It's a very cool idea. It was a very fun and unique way of celebrating the anniversary, and I'm glad that they did it. But it's not for me. Because I'm just not good at that game in general. Like, I'm good with like 3D Mario games, but the old school ones, I don't know. I just am not good and not precise enough. So I don't know. It really sucks that it's going away, because like, what if I get in the mood for it a few months later? I'm just not going to be able to play it. And these limited time releases, it's an unfortunate thing. I get it, and I appreciate that they do something weird and new for these anniversaries, but ending things on a certain time, like these arbitrary dates, I just feel like it's very needless and unnecessary. But at the same time, the 3D All-Stars thing, it sold extremely well, probably better than it ever would have if it were not a timed release. And this Super Mario 35 thing, I feel like it would be a hit for like a couple days, and then nobody would ever really go back to it if it never went away. So I think this timed release is a way to kind of pressure people to really get into it for a certain amount of time, and you had your fun, and time to move on. So it's just this new world that we live in, I guess.
Yeah, I think for Mario 35 I think it's a great concept, and it was a very cool announcement. But I agree. I think the timed exclusivity of it is to get everyone to play it at a certain time, because a game like that, if not a lot of people are playing, then it's not going to be as enjoyable. You need 34 other people to play with you, right? And for me, the game, I played it a little bit at the beginning, but I didn't really like it too much, because it makes you play Mario in a different way to be good at it, to win. I don't play Mario like that. I play Mario in a smooth, rhythmic kind of, you run, you jump, you hit the coin, you go. Like, I don't want to stop. I want to be continuous motion. I want to feel the like inertia of Mario, right? But that game, to succeed in it, you have to go very slow, I find, and you have to, you want to hit this enemy, you want to do this, and then you have enemies coming at you that disrupts your flow. So to me, the game, neat idea, but I'm okay that it's going away in a way. But again, video game preservation is huge. Like take Xbox, for example. Like, there's like, oh, you could play all your back catalog, no problem. Let's go forwards, backwards. And then Nintendo's like, nope, you can only play this game for a year, and then it's gone. So it's very different philosophies, but Nintendo makes an event out of it, right? It's an event, and that event is coming to a close, unfortunately. And I think maybe if I like the game a little more, like say if this was Super Mario World 35, maybe I might think differently. But for what it is, I'm okay with it going away. Bring me something new.
I kind of get you with that. I think part of it also is just where it is essentially levels from the original Super Mario Brothers that you can play on almost anything Nintendo console was.
That's true.
So I kind of get that, and with an online game like that, it's not one that's easily, like, if you go back in 20 years, it's there could be no one on the server if it's even still up, so to speak. Where other games you can go back, so it is sort of it's one of those where I don't feel quite as heartbroken as I would if it was just about any other type of game. It does kind of feel nice as an event, I guess. And I don't know how else they could really handle that. Unless they just decided to leave it open until the Switch servers go off, whenever that day might come. That's maybe a different story, but whatever. I think the one that's a little more controversial, well, maybe, I was going to say maybe a little more controversial would be the where they're cutting off the sales of Super Mario 3D All-Stars. As for me, I love that collection. Again, we mentioned it before. It could use a little more. I thought they could have at least slapped some like a digital art gallery or something on there, or given 64 widescreen or something. It could use a little more, but what was there is still really good. Those are 3 great games that I love. You got the soundtracks at least and that sort of thing. So that's all cool. With it being sort of a 35th anniversary thing, I'm personally kind of okay with, like, if they just wanted to make a limited amount of copies, like physical copies. I'm kind of, personally, I'm okay with that. Like, if they're only going to sell it for this long, maybe they don't have to pull it off the shelves, but, they're only going to make this much, and that's just kind of it. You can get it digital, but I'm fine with that. But, yeah, I don't quite get the whole removing it entirely. Like, again, removing it off of shelves or taking it off of digital storefronts and that sort of thing. I don't quite understand that, because I feel like this collection in particular, I don't feel like it really needs that push too much. It may have helped it some initially, but I feel like this is just one of those that just about anybody who owns the console would want to go out and get. Anybody who would pick it up later on would want to go out and get it, and it's just not going to be there. So
yeah, I think Nintendo kind of puts themselves in a corner with this kind of collection because of the fact that they put no work into it, really. I do see these games eventually getting re-released in some form of individually. So that's it's kind of weird that way, because it's like, how can you justify this package when they probably want to sell you these games for $20? Like, you can play you can play Galaxy on your Wii U, right? And it's like $20. So I don't know. It seems like they kind of put themselves in this weird situation where it's like, hey, we're always asking for them to re-release games. We like what they're doing with Switch Online. We want more of it. Give us more of it. And at some point, they're going to have to re-release these games. Like 64 games will have to come. GameCube games will have to come or be released at some point. So I'm just not sure how they can get around that. But it is weird to see it go away.
Yeah, I think that. What was I going to say? Unfortunately, I think they understand their fans. As Nintendo fans, we're very devoted to them. We treasure a lot of what they do. And, many times we love them so much that we go out and get what they have right away. And they understand that. And they also understand there are some people that are kind of stragglers and will get things later on, or if they want to get it later on, they kind of forget about it and then don't. So this was an incentive for everyone. If you have any interest in getting this, or you think you might have any interest, get it now, because you're never going to get it again. And unfortunately, it's a very genius business move. Part of my reasoning, and this is what I wanted to say before, part of my reasoning in getting it is because it's a collection of games that I love on a cart. And what terrifies me, and there's plenty of evidence, and a lot of it is what we've talked about tonight, is that we're moving towards a subscription model. And when it comes to games that I love, I'm really uncomfortable with that. I like to own the games that I love. And, maybe we're old school for that. And, maybe kids are pretty okay with subscriptions. And that's fine. There's pros and cons to, it's something that's a la carte model with a subscription model. But I just like I really value ownership of great games. And so that's why I decided to get this game. Like I have all the games that are on it, but I like to own it on a cart. But also something that's unique about the Switch is playing it portably. So for me, growing up, and as I mentioned before, Super Mario Sunshine is my Mario game. I'm very nostalgic for it. So growing up, I always had this idea of like, well, how would it be possible to play Super Mario Sunshine on the go in the future? And to experience that reality just play my Switch outside with Super Mario Sunshine by like a campfire. I can do that now, and I have done that, and it's amazing. So I think that's part of the appeal and why I bought it. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
Sure. I mean, like myself, I know Tony said he already did. I thought about going out and getting a second copy. I was just looking. I wish I could right now because I'm actually considering doing that. It's just kind of one of those things where I guess they do know what they're doing. They know their fans.
Right.
And kind of like with the 30 or Mario 35, we're not technically losing like the real meat of these games. I mean, they are available elsewhere, so to speak. It's just kind of weird to see it go, and maybe it's a new thing they're trying, some kind of new business model sort of thing. And I think
hope
the
not.
reception, well, I don't think the reception's been very great.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe this will steer them away from that sort of thing, or especially for something that would be a bigger deal.
Honestly, I think we're going to see a lot more of this, unfortunately, because yes, it's gotten a negative critical reception and fan reception, but it has made them so much money. So honestly, they're a business. All they care about is money. If people were so upset about it, they wouldn't buy it. But that's exactly what we have done, and they figured that out. And we're going to be seeing it a lot more. Perhaps even, it will probably translate to Zelda and Kirby and Yoshi and stuff like that. Donkey Kong and Animal Crossing as well. So it's a new thing that they're trying out. It seems to be paying off, unfortunately. So, set your expectations accordingly.
Yeah, you talking sort of about the subscription thing kind of makes me nervous as well, because it's again one of those things where I guess I'm a person who likes to go back and play older games from time to time. It's sort of a comfort thing. Some are just easy to go back and get into. I don't have to sit there and think about, deep mechanics or anything necessarily.
Yes.
It's just something I like to do. So I don't want an entire generation to just get sort of left out of that, because it's just going to go away one day. It's just going to disappear. This old subscription, it's going to shut down or what have you. You'll have to go back and play it on the old thing, when it's like, why don't you just make this easier for everybody?
Yeah. Also, I feel like I don't know. I feel like pressured to play games when I like pay into a subscription, because it's just like, okay, I'm paying for this. Let me, okay, it's my free time. Let me get my money's worth and play, I don't know, Super Metroid. And I just feel like there's this mild pressure to play these games and play them while your subscription's active. So I don't like that. I like, once I have a game, I can play it how I want, when I want, etc. So. So I am at least thankful that there was a physical cart of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is something that they could not have done. So it's just, once the date arrives when they stop releasing it, it's going to be up to the scalpers. And that's something that as Nintendo fans we're starting to deal with more and more lately. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after this, Jacob had kind of mentioned it in his voicemail. He kind of feels like it's gone on a little long. For me personally, I feel like this has sort of been, I definitely know they wanted to celebrate it, but also maybe a little bit of, for lack of better terms, this is going to sound really negative, but filler. I don't think they had a whole lot else going on. So I think they just kind of stretched out this 35th thing as long as they could. I don't know how that matches up with them just sort of shutting everything down at the end of March, but yeah, I mean, by the time this show goes out, it's going to be almost the end of the month anyhow. But before we get too close to wrapping things up, at least, do you all think there is going to be anything else to this, sort of a last-minute announcement? Or do you think maybe they will continue to sell it? I kind of have my doubts on that at this point. Or anything else for that matter, any other anniversaries or anything like that coming up?
I just hope that I'm holding out for that trailer. I kind of think that would be like just a great, just top it off nicely. Give me that Mario animated feature trailer and I'd be happy. I would forget about the rest and say, you know what, that was a success.
I'd love to see that. I'm also on that note, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, like Illumination, they've put out some fun family stuff. There's also aspects of them that worries me a little bit. I just hope it doesn't come out to be sort of a goofy kind of one-off movie that just has a bunch of like current pop songs in it, like Illumination kind of likes to do. Please make this, evergreen. Make it look like Mario, not something weird. Well, Mario is kind of weird, but maybe that makes sense.
I don't think they're going to be doing anything else. Something that I've learned over the years is that Nintendo's just not predictable. So if something makes sense for them to do, they're not going to do it.
Very true.
It's just one of those weird things. So, it would make perfect sense to release Super Mario Galaxy 2 as a DLC, but don't expect that because it's too obvious. It's too easy. That's just not how they do things. But I think they, my lasting thoughts on the anniversary is that I think they did a really great job. I mean, the 35th anniversary of anything is like not that special. Like it's not like the 25th anniversary, the 10th, 100th, 50th, whatever. So for the 35th anniversary, I think they did a great job. They released all these random things from the Game & Watch to these shirts. Our listeners can't see, but I'm very proud of my Super Mario 3D World shirt that I'm wearing. And I'm not going to lie, I bought every single one of the shirts, but I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, they just came out guns a-blazing with, Animal Crossing and the Splatfest and the Lego sets. It's really cool that they kind of expanded their horizons and tried to market Mario, which is something that they had a lot of trouble with, like I mentioned, during the GameCube and Wii era. So it's nice to get Mario merchandise, so I hope that they learn from it and they have it branch out to other franchises that we love, like Animal Crossing and Zelda and Metroid. But yeah, it was just like a fun period. I am, as we've all kind of mentioned, I'm kind of glad it's over because it was kind of stressful with all these timed releases and all that stuff. But it was fun. And I love my Cat Mario amiibo. That is like my favorite thing in the world.
It looks fuzzy. Like so does the Peach.
It does.
I've got them sitting next to on my coffee table in there, and they look fuzzy. They're not fuzzy, but they look fuzzy.
Yeah, because I never expected us to get an amiibo of Cat Mario from Super Mario 3D World, which is a game that came out before amiibo were even a thing. So it's pretty cool to get like a, not like a retro, but like an amiibo of a character from a game from a while ago. So yes, a nice little surprise. I still don't know what it does though. Yeah.
Looks nice. That's what it does.
Yeah, that's the most important part. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and kind of work on wrapping this up. And as we also get closer to wrapping up the 35th anniversary here, I'll mention as well, I did think it was a little bit strange that we were celebrating the 35th, to be honest with you, because that's not something I see celebrated a lot often. So yeah, I think it went pretty well. For the most part, I do. I know there's a lot of controversy here and there around it, but I think it went pretty well. Very interested to see. I know this is a while off, but if this was the 35th, I kind of want to see what the 50th will be like.
Right.
So
yeah,
hopefully that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Hopefully they'll do the things that we want them to do and not this like weird timed stuff and having the pins be such a chore to get, So hopefully they learn. That's all I care about, Hopefully they learn, and in the next few years, the anniversaries will be a little more approachable.
They are always going to do what they want, it seems. But we'll see where it goes. Hopefully we'll all be around here to see it. So I will go ahead and hop off of here and get this thing shut down. I hope everybody did enjoy the episode. I know it's a little long at the tooth here, but I know we all enjoy Mario. It's always sort of been a very special series to everybody. So yeah, I'm glad again to have our special guest with us tonight, Tony. So thank you for joining us there. Can actually, if you want to tell us a little bit about your own show there and what you have going on, go ahead and feel free to drop that here.
Yeah, you bet. So we do a weekly-ish podcast called Quest for Pixels Conversations, and you can subscribe to that on all podcast services. We also do some streams over at twitch.tv/Quest4 Pixels Gaming and on YouTube as well under Quest 4 Pixels Gaming. So please check us out there. Lots of Nintendo content, obviously. We're big Nintendo fans, but we play a lot of other stuff as well. And that's where you can find me. And mostly I'll be tweeting about my anger or excitement about Nintendo stuff over at Tony Baker 87 on Twitter.
Cool. All right, Chris, have anything to add to that as well?
No, Tony, thank you very much for joining us. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So for our listeners out there, in case you want to interact with us, we love hearing from our listeners. Just wanted to share how you can contact us. So we love hearing voicemails, so especially when it's not from a NOS crew member. But if you want to leave us a voicemail, our number is 317-969-5690. And you can find that if you miss any of this in the details of the episode. Our email is nintendonostalgiain@gmail.com. And you can also find us on social media. So we're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. On Instagram, our handle is @nintendonostalgiain. On Facebook, we are Nintendo Nostalgia Chat. And on Twitter, our handle is @Nintendo_NOS. So, please reach out to us. We love hearing from our fans.
All right. Thank you all again. You all have an awesome rest of your week, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
It's me, Mario!